2024 meeting of the Board of Directors of Bucks County Intermediate Unit order. If you all please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, of the United States of one nation, under God, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We did a roll call for the time.
Yeah, Mr. D'Angelo,
Here.
Mr. Jackson,
Here.
Mr. Hollowell,
I'm here.
Mr. Morgan,
Here.
Ms. Sheehan,
Here.
Ms. Stern,
Here.
Mr. Waldorf,
Present.
Ms. Winters, Mr. Wers.
Here.
Ms. Oseki, Ms. Walpeter. Here. Mr. Fleming,
Present.
Ms. Foley.
Present.
Oh, Mr. Ferguson, I apologize.
I figured you meant me.
Yes, I did. Okay. And we have a quorum. Quorum 11.
Okay, we did not meet in executive session. Right? And, we have a little bit of a conflict in scheduling, so a few members are participating via phone, and, we have a request from the director to order the agenda. So what we're going to basically do is just flip flop the presentations and reports after the, some agenda items. And so if the board collectively agrees, may I have a motion to move item 2, presentations and meeting report down on the agenda following the vote on the consent agenda? Mr. Jefferson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? No. Okay. Yeah. Okay, for public comment, I believe we have, no one has signed up for public comment?
Roseanne, is there any public comment?
No.
No, okay.
Okay. So we can move
Sorry,
on to that. And, now we will go to our consent agenda, and that would be items 4A through 9H. I've got 4A through 9H. Does anyone have a, questions, concerns? I know I signed a lot of these contracts tonight, and, if there's anything, specifically that you'd like to discuss or have a question about?
Is it technically 5A?
Pardon?
It is 5A.
5A versus 4A.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Correction, it's not 4A, it's 5A.
Thank you.
Is that a motion?
So,
Mr. Walker, motion.
let's do approve.
You can
Can I get a
second.
second?
Second.
Okay, let's do.
Mr. Stern.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention?
Thank you.
Okay, so we can move on to our presentations and meeting reports. First on the agenda would be Dr. Jen Schmidt for our special education. Meeting.
Okay, so I know many of you were able to join us on the tour and learn a little bit about Samuel Everett earlier this evening, and I'd like to welcome Dr. Janine Chance, who's the principal at Samuel Everett, and Mark McCluskey, the assistant principal. They're going to share a little bit of an overview on our programs at Samuel Everett, as well as talk about the steps to success.
Thank you for the introduction. We're going to talk a little bit about the overall programs at Samuel Everett and then specifically about our Steps to Success program.
My apologies, first time opening this letter. We're going to start here with a program overview for the services that we offer here at the Bucks IU Samuel Everett School. The Bucks IU at Samuel Everett is a center-based program. So what that means is we serve students within the grades ranges of kindergarten up to the age of 21. The programs that we have here in place at Samuel Everett is an emotional support program, autistic support program, life skills, multiple disabilities, and a partial hospitalization program. For us, our goal is to work towards supporting students so that they foster academic growth, they build resilience, emotional resilience, and then they learn the essential life skills that they need to return to a less restrictive environment. So what that might look like for our students in our school-age program is to return to their local school district classroom, or for our students in our 18 to 21 program to really assimilate themselves into life after school and into our local communities. Something that we really emphasize here for our program is to promote a safe and inclusive environment. So what that would essentially be is that the students feel encouraged to participate within their program. They're going to feel supported within their academic instruction, and really when they're having those tough times behaviorally, they feel that they have a relationship with the staff and that they feel secure to speak with them within our school walls. In addition to that, we really want to motivate our students to be encouraged to access their education, move forward with their individualized goals, and then return to their local school districts. And something we do there is we give them incentives to move through our school programming. What that looks like is performance-based privileges to earn more leadership roles in our school building, earn additional responsibilities, and then also access to more recreational time as needed throughout the school day. Earlier on our tour, we talked about how feedback is so important for our students here. We really tie that into our system and heavily guide our students throughout their day, that they're constantly getting support from our staff, being informed how to do better within the program, and then like modeling that for them so that we can see that within the classroom and then within our school community. The goal is really for the students to stay aligned with their own goals, and then we ensure that we take data to track that over time. So this. For this slide here, we're going to be looking at some of the key components of our program at Samuel Everett. And that's really tied into our positive behavioral and intervention and supports program. PBIS is a research-based system that promotes a positive school culture and supports both academic and behavioral growth. For us here at Samuel Everett, we're looking at taking the data collection that we have for each student within our individualized program and within our classroom-wide data, looking at where the areas are for improvement and ensuring that we develop targeted interventions for our students. Throughout the whole school year, we're always looking at utilizing evidence-based practices. And the goal of the PBIS is to really create a school environment where students feel supported, they feel respected, they feel safe, and they feel included within our classroom setting. An overall positive outcome for PBIS is to increase positive school behaviors and also improve our school culture. And move on to our Steps to Success program with Dr. Chance.
Thank you. The Steps to Success program is a program that we use in our partial hospitalization wing as well as our emotional support program. So those of you who are on the tour, that K-2 class that we saw, we're talking about that hallway. The Steps to Success program is a structured progression for students designed to move them from a highly supervised setting to greater independence over time. The program emphasizes growth in 3 areas: social development, academic progress, and behavioral improvement. And the program is organized into levels or steps that students progress through during their time at Samuel Everett. So they'll go from our introductory or orientation phase, which is considered our step 1, all the way through step 2, step 3, and then step 4. So as students advance, they earn increased privileges throughout the building and responsibilities, as well as fostering greater independence. Each step in the system builds on the previous one, ensuring students are prepared before they move on. And they are prepared for challenges such as self-management, leadership, and making continued progress towards our school goals as well as our individual goals. So now we'll talk about each step individually, and then conclude with a short video that some of the students on step 4 have created for you.
So step 1 here at Samuel Everett, as you can see the title there is orientation, right? So we think about when someone starts a new job, you're looking at going through the orientation process, what's expected of you. It's kind of the same concept for our learners here at Samuel Everett. So we bring them into our program. We really spend a short time at step one going over what their expectations are in learners. So thinking about their past history in schools, where maybe they're struggling academically, struggling behaviorally. We're trying to do a fresh start. This is a place where it's a new experience for you. Let's look at our expectations, how you can perform in the school setting, and how you can really be successful here at the Samuel Everett program. We take some time to review that with our students, and a part of that process is to get them familiar with our classroom routines, behavioral expectations, and then focusing on making them feel comfortable and building a relationship with our staff. We find that the more comfortable the students are within the program, the more successful they are, because they're going to communicate with us their wants and needs. Essentially, when we look at the step 1 for the orientation, the goal is for the students to really understand the program rules, but another part of that process is for the student to develop their personal goal. So for some students, that might be looking at step 1, I want to go back to the school district, my local school district, once I get to step 4. So looking at that long-term goal for the student and putting in the steps in place to get there, and that way is another layer of motivation for the learner. Step 2, during this step, since we looked at step 1, where we really introduced our program here to the learner, step 2 is where the students get to actually practice those essential skills. And that's going to tie into, at the top, goal practice and the academic skills as well as social skills. For step 2, the students that are working at this level are expected to have 80% criteria for their behavioral programming here, demonstrate consistent effort within their academic and social behaviors. And then really, once they're progressing for that system, 40 days of appropriate behaviors, maintaining that success over time, that gives an opportunity for our students to initiate to move to step 3. And the point of that process is for the learner to feel comfortable with their progress and then look to move to a higher level of expectation. And we're going to get into that next with Dr. Chomp, with what that looks like on step 3. Step 2, at this point in our program, reinforces positive social interactions with others. We really encourage academic responsibility so that students complete their tasks successfully, practice coping skills within the school setting, and then also be willing to accept help from others or problem solve to solve their issues within the school setting.
Students who have petitioned and moved on to step 3 are really in the early leadership stages in our building, and we call this the reinforcement and growth stage. So the students on this step, their objective is to strengthen their independence and leadership skills. So they definitely are still receiving support from teachers and staff in the building, but we're looking for them to be able to achieve that 80% accuracy on any of their goal-related assessments. They should be initiating positive social interactions with minimal prompting with both staff and students, and consistently demonstrating responsibility in academic tasks as well as their personal goals. The petition process for students is self-initiated, so there definitely is support from the staff, but we want students to say, I've completed what I need on step 2, I'm looking to move to step 3. And so that process looks like they fill out an application for their petition, and they have certain criteria that they have to meet. And then there is a petition meeting where different members of their team are invited, and they participate in a meeting that talks about what they accomplished on step 2, what are they looking to accomplish on step 3, and what is the plan to help you reach those goals. As students move forward, we want them to be able to show reliability in their behavior and task completion with reduced support. Students on this step will use our coping strategies, participate in what we call the problem-solving process. So that's, I have a problem, asking for help. How can you help me solve this problem? And what steps do I need to take so I'm not in this situation again? And then this step is also where more leadership opportunities become available for students, such as mentorship throughout the building, peer support roles, and then a chance to practice these leadership skills in different areas throughout the school. The leadership opportunities continue when students get to step 4, and we'll talk about that next. So step 4 is what we call the transition to independence stage. So this is the final step for students in the program. Students on this step are consistently managing and leading with little support from staff. They're maintaining 90% accuracy or more on their goal-related areas for at least 2 consecutive marking periods in the program. And they're demonstrating independence in their daily routines. They're acting as role models and leaders in the school, and they get to take on some additional responsibilities. So, for instance, there is a weekly news station at Samuel Everett, and our step 4 students plan, record, and present the weekly news. And so that is something that we're going to talk about next, because they have made a special segment that talks about the STEP programs for all of you, so that you can see. And in that video, they have interviewed a step 2 student, a step 3 student, and a step 4 student that talk about their goals at Samuel Everett and what their next plans are.
Bring it into the audio.
Hello, we're Jan and Wyatt, Samuel Everett's news reporters. Today, we're here with a few students from our Step to Success programs. Our first student we will be interviewing is Jordan. Hello, Jordan. Can you please share your name and what step you're on?
Hi, my name is Jordan Williams, and I'm on step 2.
Welcome, Jordan. Can you please share one goal you have for yourself?
My goal is to go back to Centennial School District.
That's a great goal. What is one skill you are working on at Everett?
I'm working on meeting with my counselor when I need help.
Thanks so much for sharing. What is one of your favorite things about Samuel Everett?
I like girls group because I can meet with the other girls and talk about things we all feel.
That sounds very wonderful. Are there any staff members who have helped you be successful throughout the year?
Mrs. G, because her energy just makes me happier, and Mr. B, because he always cheers me up with his jokes.
Thanks so much for sharing, Jordan. Hello, Fabian. Can you share your name and what step you're on?
Hello, my name is Fabian Gonzalez. I'm on step 3.
While you're on the Steps to Success program, what's one goal you have?
My goal is to learn the skills I need to join the Air Force, like math and social skills.
That's amazing! What's one goal you're working on here at Everett?
I'm learning to take breaks when things get difficult.
That's a great skill to have. Are there any staff members who help you practice this?
Yes, Mr. Matt, he reminds me to use my coping skills and helps me in math.
Thank you for sharing. What's one thing you enjoy about Samuel Everett?
I love the school store. I'm saving my dolphin tickets for a gift card. I can't wait to reach step 4 so I can visit more often.
I agree. The school store is awesome. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Can you share your name and what step you're on?
Hello, my name is Evelyn. I'm on step 4.
What's one goal you have for yourself while you're here, since you're here?
I'd like to make lifelong friendships.
Sweet. That is a wonderful goal. What is one skill you are working on at Everett?
I'm working on being a leader and supporting new students who are learning the program.
That's great that students have someone like you to support them. Are there any staff members helping you reach your goals?
Yes, Miss Courtney, because she helps me a lot when I'm upset, and she's always there for me.
It's wonderful to have some support. What are one of your favorite things about Samuel Everett?
I love all the events we have throughout the year.
Do you have a favorite event since you've been here for over 7 days?
Yes, my favorite event is the Winter Ball.
That is a fun event.
Thanks for chatting.
Thanks for meeting with us, Emma.
We experienced some technical difficulties. Everyone, come here! Come here!
Love
Thank you. Do you have any questions for us about the Everett program or the Steps to Success program?
Could you walk us through what the building privileges look like at each of the steps?
Yes, so there's a lot of them, and actually, they're behind you. There's step 2, step 3, step 4, and then beginning transition. But essentially, students gain privileges at every step. So when you come into our program, we don't use technology for leisure time. Technology is used for academic tasks only. So as you progress through the step system, you have the opportunity to use different types of technology for leisure time. And we don't allow cell phones in our program, but when you get to step 4, students may use personal electronic devices when they're on step 4 for leisure time. Students, as they progress through the steps, can access the school store more often, and the prices of items, depending on what step you're on, go down. So they kind of can get some more things. And then there's all different types of leadership opportunities in the building, like calling buses, morning announcements, being part of the Everett News. Students also can visit different classrooms during leisure time or visit different students during lunch. So they don't have to sit just with their classroom. If they have a student friend that's on step 4 in a different classroom, 2 step 4 students can visit each other. So they have those opportunities. One of the biggest things that we hear that everyone loves that they're able to do is when you're on step 4, you can be in the building with a hall pass unaccompanied by an adult. So that's a very big deal, and that's one of the biggest motivators for step 4. So when students go through that petition process, they'll talk about what they're most looking forward to, and that's one of the things that we hear. So it's just like being more independent as they have to go through a school setting. And it's really necessary for our students who are going back to the school district. You know, we talk about the fact that in the Everett there's 155 students, and a lot of our students who are going back to state districts or middle schools or state districts, they still have a lot of students. And that not even going from so with those increased privileges and responsibilities, they're learning to do that in a smaller setting where we will support them to help them get through that transition process of going back to their building. And then when you're on step 4, we're initiating the transition process with the school district. And the step 4 transition process looks different for every student. But some of our students who are in the middle of that process, they might come to Samuel Everett for a half a day, but then go back to their district programming for the second half of the day. And they do that over the course of 1 marking period or 2 before they fully transition back, so that we're still involved in their educational programming to help support them as they go along. So I would say that that's one of the other really exciting privileges for students, that they get to be part of the process of going to visit their district school. They'll go with their family. Sometimes they'll take some of the Samuel Everett staff with them. And so we're part of that process with them, and that's something else that's very motivating for them.
Thank you. I know that not every student will fit in the same box, but can you give a general idea of like the time frame to move between steps?
Yes, so the students have to have on each step 40 May days. So May days count as days that we're in school and where they're achieving that criteria. It's different on every step, at 80%, 85%, or 90%. It does not have to be consecutive. So you can have some unmade days in there is what we call them. But essentially, if you are someone who is consistently making those days, you could do it within a school year.
Do you ever have students that's going back and forth between the districts just to make sure that they can survive back in their home school district?
Like they fully exit our program and then they come back?
No, as a temporary process of getting back.
Yes. So we do have that. We have a couple students in that process now. So they're going to their district school in the morning for a half day, and then they're coming to Samuel Everett in the afternoon for a half day. That It changes for every student, but we have some students that do it to a month, and we've had some students do it up to 3 marking periods before they fully transition. And some students don't start on that half day. They might go to Benson Hill High School and take 1 class, and then come to Samuel Everett after taking 1 class. So they're, they're experiencing their homeschool environment, but are still receiving counseling at Samuel Everett to kind of talk through maybe any struggles that they're having during that transition process. But that's very common. And it is dependent on each individual student need and the preference of the school district. So we're happy to work with whatever the school district works best with their program too.
Approximately how many students do you return to the home school districts?
That's a great question. I thought we might be asked that. So last school year, we returned 7 students to the home school district. And today, as we stand here, we have 14 students out of 55 that are on step 4. So our goal for those students would be when we're standing here next year at the board meeting that those 14 students have transitioned to a less restrictive environment than Samuel Everett.
So the next question is, how many do you have waiting to get into this place?
Our wait list currently is over 25 students.
I just have a question. Martin said that you serve kids K through 21. Isn't it K through 22?
That's correct. So currently, right now, students do stay up until the day before their 22nd birthday. So in the past, our post-secondary classroom has typically consisted of students 18 to 21, but this past year, it's 18 to 21 up until their 22nd.
Okay, and the reason why I asked that question is not a gotcha question, because so that all happened between last year and this year. But how does that affect how you manage those kids that you're expecting to go out, that now you have to either keep them for another year, right? And I'm sure that's not an easy task, because if we're full, when you've got 25 waiting, if you have 4 or 5 or 6 that are going to stay another year, I don't know that was in your master plan for 2023.
No, but just like we model for the students, we're flexible. So we did notice that last year with our graduates. We had 15 graduates last year. All 15 returned to this school year. And they've been aging out throughout the past couple of months and will continue to do so up into June. But we did still have our classroom rosters set up to include them. So if they had a placement here, they still have a placement here. So we still provide support to them.
Thank you. Anybody else? And just thank you again for the great tour. For those of you new on the board who have just seen this place for the first time, you're seeing it at top maximum capacity and top efficiency. It didn't just spring up like this overnight. This has been a 7, 8, 9 year journey, right? And with much of the resources going to the physical improvements to make this place a safe and healthy environment. And it's just good to see that now you guys are running all out. And it's an honor to be associated with you guys. Really. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next in line, Dr. Holler, Program for Services.
All right, good evening, everyone. In your orange folder, you'll find the Program and Services Mini Report. This month's report is focused on how our Bucks IU team supports public school districts by utilizing Title I and Title II funds to enhance education in non-public schools. And I'm going to invite up Dr. Mary Agnes Asico, our director, program director of federal and non-public programs, and she worked with Meg Burke, our teaching and learning specialist, to put this report together for you. So she'll give you a summary of the report.
Thanks, Mary Agnes. I get settled a second to see who gets settled. Just a reminder that in the orange folders, you have a hard copy of all the mini reports, and they're also available online on Board Docs.
Hey, good evening, everyone. The purpose of this report is to highlight how the Bucks IU supports the public school districts represented here, utilizing Title I and Title IIA federal funds to enhance education in the non-public schools across Bucks County. On behalf of the 13 public school districts represented here, the Bucks IU manages Title I and Title IIA funds to enhance teaching, learning, and professional development. Title I funding supports direct instruction in reading, Title I reading instruction is supplemental in nature. It's intended to complement the core reading provided in the classroom. The services are provided to students who demonstrate academic need. At this time in the 24-25 school year, Title I funds are making it possible for 20 reading teachers across 27 non-public schools to provide direct services for 508 students. The teachers meet with students in small groups. They meet twice per week for 30-minute sessions. And these students are also assessed at the start, the middle, and the end of the school year to capture academic growth. Title IIA, on the other hand, this funding supports professional development for teachers and educators in the non-public schools. So again, on behalf of all the public school districts represented here, the Bucks IU offers tailored, customized professional development programs to meet the unique needs of the educators in the non-public school settings. Specific areas of development have included in recent years things like the universal design for learning, literacy strategies, classroom management techniques, assessment and data analysis, and instructional technology. Across the 23-24 school year, the Bucks IU connected regularly with non-public schools, impacting professional learning for 370 educators and supporting instructional shifts for over 4,000 students in the non-public schools. Additionally, the Bucks IU team facilitated the creation of 5 teacher cohorts in the non-pub schools, both on the elementary and secondary levels. As part of its responsibility, the IU develops specific goals, one for Title I and one for Title IIA, and we report back data on those goals to all the public school districts here. Details on those goals can be found in your packet. And I just, in summary, will say that I'm happy to report that the goals for the 23-24 school year for both Title I and Title IIA were met, and that we are on track to once again meet the needs for the goals in 24-25. Do you have any questions for me?
Can you clarify the Title I, Title IIA funding? Is that funding that the IU receives or that it manages for this?
Great question. The districts receive the federal funding and then they enter into contract with us to manage the funding for the non-public schools on their own. So they utilize Title I and Title IIA funds in their own districts, but then they will enter into agreement with us to manage the supports in the non-public schools.
It's almost like a consortium model.
Anything else?
Excellent report, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we want to move on to the marketing and communications report. I guess Rebecca is looking afterwards today.
Well, I'm just going to introduce our communications and marketing lead, who is Robin Gross, who's here to share with you a brief update on everything that's been happening in marketing and communications. You will find her report in your packet. It's also in board docs. And she's got a lot of growth statistics to share with you, which I'm really proud of, all the growth that has occurred in marketing and communications over the last past year. Robin?
Thank you, Rebecca, and good evening. Social media continues to be a prominent tool in our communications arsenal, allowing us to reach staff, parents, districts, students, and the community. We continue to grow and expand our reach through the addition of more followers, as well as in the use of engaging content and graphics. We had 816 social media posts over the last 12 months. So that was a significant number of getting the word out and sharing information. We have, for 3 years now, we've been using a schedule, which allows content to be submitted, and then communications and marketing department works up graphics and posts based on the information provided from our different departments and divisions. Monday, we do Monday Moments, which are focused on our staff. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays are from our special ed departments. Wednesdays are HR, and Fridays are programs and services. Facebook reaches parents, the IU and district staff, the community, and job seekers. And we saw an increase of 14% in our Facebook uses this past year. Instagram reaches students and district staff, and that went up 50%. And LinkedIn reaches administrators, professionals, community, and job seekers, and that went up 29%. So we're seeing a lot of growth in social media. Websites are still a highly visible and viable tool where people can find essential information about our organization. The bucksideu.org website continues to show growth across its use. A lot of this can be contributed to the well-planned organic site structure that we have, and that has gained us really excellent search engine optimization. Our growth over the past 6 years has been 62% use of our website. Our site also proudly is well ahead of the curve in terms of the new Department of Justice laws related to ADA compliance. We are looked to across the state as an expert in ADA compliance. We've presented at several organizational events and activities such as the PAIU conference on ADA compliance. Some exciting news is that we are already starting a plan to work up a new website for the coming year. Communications and marketing is also fully responsible for a couple other websites for the IU that they not only manage the content and graphics for, but also the site structure and the function of the site. In addition to the schedule for social media, we have started a schedule to help us get at least 2 press releases a month out. And to support this effort, we're utilizing some contractors to help cover all the news we wish to share, which there's lots of. We have an extensive list of over 120 regional contacts to which I send out our press releases. And all the things we've just reviewed support our recruitment and retention efforts. Being able to be found online, helping people understand all we do and what we offer, sharing news and updates, this all helps existing staff see beyond their own area of work and offers potential staff a chance to see opportunities available. Some of the additional responsibilities of this department are also listed on the last page of your mini report. Thank you. And any questions?
Robin,
Yes.
question. Increase in eyes on social media is obviously a good thing, but I don't know that you could possibly quantify it from your sense of the impact it's having. One of the things you mentioned was the ADA compliant website. We'll look at it as a model of that means something because, we can be, asked to come and present, therefore there's a revenue for each of that. But what, have you noticed anything in the organization that because of the social media presence, this is different? Rather than the fact that the clicks are higher, the views are higher. What other impact are we?
I think that you see a lot of people going to events that we're having, hiring events and things like that, and having a little bit better understanding of who we are and what we do. They're not walking in quite as blind. A lot of people don't have any idea what an intermediate unit is or what we do, or if they do, they think it's strictly special education and that's it, and none of the other things that we offer. So I do see that there seems to be a growth and development in community understanding. We get a lot of requests through the website. I go through them twice a week. I probably get 20 a week of people sending in inquiries. I need help with this. How do I do this? How do I get information like that? So we really track that and see quite a growth in that interest as well.
Sure, the recruiting marketing team will have a lot of data to support increase in staff that tend not bear the as well. So, and then I think you already mentioned that won't be redundant with just the retention, right? People seeing the things that we do, seeing the one picture, et cetera. But I agree with you, sometimes it's hard to quantify, but there's definitely a recruitment and retention focus to everything we do.
I think the retention part is really big too, because we really are not siloed in a sense that we don't know what else goes on here, but people are, they're here at Everett and they don't know what might be going on at Lower South or at one of the other early learning centers, or that we opened a new location or anything like that, or we have new personnel, or, putting faces with names for our Monday moments. That all adds value. And it really does help when people are looking at staying here or joining our team. Thank you.
Rob,
Thank you, Rob.
I just want to say too, so new users representing 81% between 5% of it, and that's phenomenal. Now, to Ron's question, first you have to see that kind of growth, and then to parse it where it's leading. And I think Dr. Hoffman's right, it's a recruitment, right, and retention. And
I think that's where we see the return on investment.
right,
Mr. Jackson's question.
and Dr. Hoffman, the other night we attended the resource fair.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Yeah, here's a perfect example. I've been to many of them in my company at our own school district. And yeah, it's nice to announce you're having college night or you're having any kind of a night where you're trying to involve parents. And many times you get very sparse attendance, okay? At this particular event, okay, which I know was advertised, I know it was out on social media. I think it started at 6. I got there at like 5:45, and the parking lot was full. Right? I got in. Our staff was waiting. There was people already there. Okay. We walked around seeing all the resources that were offered, and this was primarily focused on some of our kiddos that are aging out, that are looking for maybe independent living. And so packed vendors there, many of them competitors, but there and kids coming with their parents. There was the one room that we had blocked off that was full. It was almost like an SAT classroom.
Yes.
Parents full, engaged. So I can tell you firsthand, that was really something that was very, very just great to see. And I know what you're doing had a lot to do with it. And not only that, the employees that ran it, yes, they were psyched up. And so there's a perfect example, and that's really a critical subject in the area where that, remember, a lot of kids now, as Mark said, it was 21, now it's 22. But we're not, we're preparing them for life, and now what's next? They have to compete for maybe a shortage of housing, of so many services, and this really gave a good awareness of it.
It's a wonderful
Thank you.
event. And they've been doing it for like 22 years. So
Yes.
it's really gained a lot of momentum.
Thank you, Robert.
Okay, Mr. Executive Director.
I want to thank everybody for making the trip to Samuel Everett here in beautiful Lovetown, Middletown, Pennsylvania. We're very proud of this location. I want to thank Dr. Johns, Mr. McCluskey, again, Ms. Schmidt, for all your work programmatically. I want to thank our facilities and technology team for all the work that they do day in and day out to support not only Everett, but all of our locations. And then, of course, the team that spent a lot of time just getting this room ready. Like there were kids in here not that long ago and adults in here that having school, right? And so it takes a lot to get it ready for a board meeting, and then it takes a lot to tear it down tonight so that we can have school tomorrow. So I just want to acknowledge that and thank the team for all the work that goes into making a site visit like this possible. But we're really proud of our site, proud of our programs, we're proud of our staff, importantly, we're proud of our students. So I just want to thank the team again for all the work that they did to make this happen. In your orange folders on board docs, you have obviously the mini reports. You also have the awesome news. I'm a broken record with the awesome news. I'm going to say it again. The awesome news is a really great resource for you to leverage with your own board colleagues, with your district. When you go back at your board meetings and they say, what's the IU report? This is a great cheat sheet for you as board members to talk about some of the great things that have happened at the intermediate unit in the last 30 days. That's one of the things that's most impressive about this document. I don't think Robin talked about this, but marketing and communications actually puts this together as well. So this document is impressive as it looks. You think, oh my gosh, that's what they did this school year. No, that's actually just what the intermediate unit team's done the last 30 days. And this is just a tip of the iceberg, quite frankly. So if you want a sense of what's happening, you can take a look here. And then also it's my standard plug based on our just recent conversation a few minutes ago to subscribe to our social media feed, because a lot of what you see here, you'll see live in the moment. So rather than learning about it after the fact, you'll see it before it happens. Mr. D'Angelo's point about the expo for our students that are, in our transition programs, 18 to 22, and looking for things after public school. So I just want to thank you for that. There is something I want to turn your attention to, and that would be on page 9. If you humor me for a second. I'm not going to read the whole packet to you, but I just want to point out on page 9, there's actually a really nice blurb. It says the 2024 National Autism Conference presented by the PA Training and Technical Assistance Network, Patton or Patan, Data Potato, Autism Initiative, showcase Buckside U expertise and vision, following our mantra of learn, flourish, and contribute. And it says one of our Buckside U educational consultants, among many others, Brittany Blau, was actually one of the presenters. And I see Brittany sitting right there. So Brittany, congratulations. Your photo's in the awesome news, but more importantly, you're live and in person. So thanks for attending the board meeting. So let's give it up for Brittany, right? Now, before I put my foot, is there anybody else in the room that's in that same exact? No, nobody else. I'm looking around to see if I see Cindy or anybody else. No, Brittany. So thank you for representing the intermediate at the conference. Thanks for being here too. So, Mr. D'Angelo, that's the awesome news. Also in our orange folder, you see our, I love this, the standing intern of the month from our Project Search program housed at the County of Bucks. So you can see Geraldine, Jerry, and some of the great work that Jerry is doing in the Register of Wills Department. She's known for her diligence and independence. She follows the task list. She completes each step, minimal supervision. Said her hard work, positive attitude, eagerness to learn have made her an asset in both her department. I mean, our Project Search interns are colleagues of our county colleagues. And then they're also our, our students, if you will, like young adults in our program in Project Search. So congratulations to Jerry. Robin mentioned some of the press releases that we've released. Of course, I'd like to share those with you. And you'll see Rebecca's legislative report, which we'll get to in a short second. So looking around at the team, did I miss anything?
Dr. Hoffman, on the Project Search, there's an upcoming new, they're gonna start a new round.
Yeah, we have an open house for students that are in school district programs looking for the possibility of being referred there or placing that again. So there's
That's
an open
coming one next
in
week,
December.
in December, so.
So that's
Already
yeah.
working for another kind of group of kids to, go there, interview, have their resumes, get an idea of what it's like, and, I know I'll be there, we'll be in attendance. If anyone would like to go, just let Dr. Hoffman know.
Yeah, and of course, if anybody wants to come back to Everett or any of our locations, I mean, it's just one example of the amazing things that we do. Just let me know, I'd be happy to take you when this place is full with energy, right? Not just adults, but more importantly, kids, right? Thank you all.
Dr. Hoffman,
Yes, sir.
I appreciate, allowing me to paperless.
Yes, sir.
But, only the awesome news is in the Word doc, so in the future, could you please make sure you add all your in-house?
Sure.
Word docs?
Sure. The mini reports are,
The main reports are there, your intern, your budget, this and all those stuff.
and for the members of the board, those will get sent to you via email, but we'll make sure we do that appropriately. Appreciate that.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Hoffman, another good month for three kids going on to this, and, moving on to item 10, Rebecca, let's go with it.
Well, good evening, everyone. My legislative report is in your packet. It's also on Board Docs. And we'll just get right into it. We had an election, and I've got the results that I'm happy to share with you. And I'll begin at the top of the report on page 1. Donald Trump won the U.S. presidency, really improving upon his 2020 performance in both red and blue states, and capturing enough swing votes to reach 312 electoral votes, 42 more than the 270 he needed to win. He also won the popular vote 50-48. And you'll see that vote tally. I actually changed that from a report I gave to the superintendents on Friday. I updated it with the most recent results as published by the Associated Press at 1:59 p.m. today.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. Can you repeat all that?
You want me to repeat all that, Mr. Jackson? You already gave the applause earlier this evening. All right, in Pennsylvania, just so you have the Pennsylvania update, President-elect Trump, he easily captured all 19 electoral votes, estimated 50.4% of the vote to Vice President Harris's 48.6%. In Bucks County, President-elect Trump eked out a very narrow win over the vice president, 49.6% to 49.5%. For the US Senate, we have the Senate going Republican 52-47. There are 100 senators total. You'll notice that the 47 and the 52, Allison adds up to 99 because there is one seat that still is outstanding, and that is our own Pennsylvania seat, currently held by US Senator Bob Casey. As of today, Senator Casey has not conceded. The vote count stands as of today with the challenger, Dave McCormick, leading Senator Casey 48.8% to 48.6%. So a 0.02% difference. Although the Associated Press called this race last Thursday in McCormick's favor, again, Senator Casey has refused to concede. And our Commonwealth Secretary of State, Al Schmidt, announced last Wednesday that state law will now require an automatic recount of the race since the margin of the race is less than 0.5%. The Secretary of State held a live stream press conference on Thursday of last week. He told reporters that he expects the recount to cost more than $1 million. He said that counties will begin the recount once they are done with the initial unofficial canvass of the votes. And so per the Secretary and under Pennsylvania law, counties must begin that recount by November 20th, which is tomorrow. Understand a lot of our counties, including Bucks County, have been counting votes nonstop since Election Day. Some of the workers have been working 24/7 and 12-hour shifts to do those votes. So now they will start the recount process beginning tomorrow. Per the Secretary, that recount must be completed no later than November 26th at 12 noon. And by November 27th, we should have the results. And so by Thanksgiving, we will know. Now, some of you are aware there have been several legal challenges that have already been filed by both parties. There was a Pennsylvania Supreme Court decision that was decided yesterday regarding how to count some of those provisional ballots. That decision actually went into McCormick's favor, I understand. So there's still a lot happening with this race, and we'll know for sure by next week. In the U.S. House, the Republicans remain in control of the House. It's currently right now 218 Republicans to 212 Democrats. There are 435 seats in the U.S. House. Please know that this could shift a little bit still because some of the Republican seats could become vacant, as at least 3 of the re-elected members have been selected for cabinet positions by President-elect Trump. And the Associated Press is still calling those seats to the party who has held them. And then we still have 5 seats left to count. These are in districts in Alaska, California, Maine, and Ohio. So this is still up in question as to whether the Republicans are going to remain in charge, although I believe the Associated Press has predicted that the Republicans will remain in control. Regarding the Commonwealth, all 3 state office races were easily won by Republicans across the state. So while our governor, Josh Shapiro, as a Democrat, retains the governor's office, he wasn't up for re-election this year. Republican Dave Sunday handily beat Democrat Eugene DePasquale, and I'm sorry, I have a typo there. It should be DePasquale 50-46 for the office of Attorney General. Republican Tim DeFord defeated Democrat Malcolm Kenyatta 51.3 to 45.9 for the office of Auditor General. And Republican Stacey Garrett easily won a second term as Pennsylvania Treasurer, defeating Democrat Aaron McClellan 52 to 45. And now over on page 3. So now we're at the Pennsylvania House. The Pennsylvania House, the Democrats successfully defended their 1-seat majority. So the Democrats remain in control of the Pennsylvania House, 102 to 101. All Bucks County House of Representative incumbents were reelected for the 25-26 legislative session. You will not see any change in our representatives. House leadership elections also occurred last week. If you remember, the House was back in session for a couple of days last week. Now they're done. They won't be back until January. I listed the results for you on page 3, and I highlighted for you anytime there was a Bucks County legislator that was named to a leadership position. So for example, the House Democrats reelected Joanna McClinton as the acting speaker. The majority caucus secretary remains with Representative Tina Davis from Lower Bucks. I listed the House Republicans. The minority leader is now changed to Jesse Topper. And the appropriations chair changed to Jim Struzzi on the Republican side. In the Pennsylvania Senate, the Senate has gone Republican. It was Republican. It's Republican now by a wider margin, 28 to 22. There were none of our senators were up for re-election in Bucks County. So our Bucks County delegation, House and Senate, remain the same. Senate leadership also met last year, and you will see the Senate Republican list of who has been named leaders. Kim Ward is the president pro tem. Majority Appropriations Chair changed to Scott Martin, so that's a change. Under Senate Democrats, you'll see that Minority Caucus Secretary is Senator Steve Santaserio from Middle Bucks. So the House and Senate will convene next on Tuesday, January 7th. They'll swear in all the new members, and the legislative session will officially begin on January 7th. As of today's date, however, there's not a published session schedule for 2025. And as soon as there is, I'll be happy to share it with you. And then at the bottom of page 4, I just put a couple of laws that have been signed into law since we last met by the governor. Most of these we've already talked about, and I let you know when both the House and Senate approved them. That now enacted into law is Act 105, which is an older adult mentor bill, which allows older adults to sign up to volunteer in schools. Intermediate units are supposed to manage that sign up and handle the clearances. However, there is no funding for this. So it's unclear what our responsibility is supposed to be without funding. At the top of page 5, juvenile justice reform is now Act 107. It shortens from 9 months to 3 months the interval at which a court must hold a disposition review hearing for a juvenile committed to an institution. There's the Diabetes Notification Act, which is Act 117. It requires PDE to develop type 1 diabetes informational materials. And by 25-26, schools have to send those materials home to students. There's the Tick Removal Act. That's Act 120. We talked about that last month, I believe. Basically, if staff remove a tick from a student, the tick must be sent to the state tick research lab. Written notification must be provided to the student's parents or guardians, and then the lab results have to be provided back to the parents and guardians as well. And then finally, the Educational Literacy Act, that is now Act 135. This is a very, very watered down educational literacy bill. Nothing like what it was when it was originally introduced. Basically, PDE has to come up with some curriculum, and it must go into effect by June 1, 2025. And that's all I have for you. Are there any questions? Okay, all right, great. Thank you all very much.
Okay, just a quick reminder to fellow board members, we do not typically have a board meeting in December. Dr. Hopkins, like to explain the protocol that we'll use.
Sure. Bucks IU board historically has never met in December simply because the boards are reorganizing and because of the holiday break, et cetera. So what you typically do is you authorize, or the policy allows, I should say, for the intermediate unit to continue to operate in terms of paying bills, things like that. And so what we do is we present a slate of bills for payment and other, let's call them routine matters, board president, vice president for their review. And then they give a green light, we'll pay the bills, et cetera, the essential things that are, let's call it routine. And in January, they'll be cured, if you will, by being added to the January agenda. So you'll be approving a January agenda with December's approval by the board leadership. And so we don't think the practice of doing things in December that would require deliberation or any sort of serious conversation with the board. It just allows us to operate into the function of the Rebecca?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so just making sure. Yeah, policy over. So that's why we don't meet in December. However, we gotta pay the bills. So you'll see it all again in January, and that's why you'll see 2 agendas in January.
Yeah, thank you. And if Dr. Hoffman were to, most of the time in December, it's just kind of routine and sundry payment of bills and signatures. If there is anything that Dr. Hoffman presents that Mr. Jackson and I decide, then we will certainly at least alert the board that this is what we're voting to approve. And it'll be something that we can take up. So please know that we will keep you informed should there be anything outside of the ordinary course of business. Okay, moving on to item 11, there was no executive session. Is there anyone who has any old business that they would like to discuss? Bring up or stir up? Jackson, okay, thank you, Mr. Jackson. Any, item 13, is there any new business to discuss? I would just say, I got my delivery of WOW cookies, okay? In Bristol, we set up with some of our kids that are 18 to 21, we set up a place called the Warrior Cafe. And they make coffee and they serve stuff. And so we purchased a nice tray of cookies and snickerdoodles and brownies. And there's delicious chocolate pretzels. Oh my God, they're really good. They're good. And anyway, so we delivered them and they've been giving them out and selling them. So I would just encourage again, if you can find it in your heart, and maybe you might want to mention to some of your principals. Reach out to the WOW team, order a tray of the chocolate chip cookies for the staff or for the office staff or for whatever. And I know they'll be coming around at Christmas time. So, and I imagine like maybe a week after Thanksgiving, they'll have something put out. And if you can, just pass it along to your administrators. It's really a good thing. And again, the cookies are the best in class. So
I'll tell you, this here is a gluten-free peanut butter chocolate chip cookie that is maybe the best cookie I've ever had in my entire life. So, I don't know what to put in it. What's that? It's ridiculous. Yes.
you'll have to get some of those for our January meeting.
All right, Neil.
If the demand is like I like it, then we're gonna have to do some marketing. Okay. Okay, there was, I believe, no other public participation signed up.
Can we confirm that?
Yeah, there's not.
Thank you.
Okay. And again, so our next meeting will be on Tuesday, January 21st at the Buckside Inn at the 705 King Street Road.
Yes, sir.
And with that, can I get a motion to adjourn? So move.
Mr.
Third, second.
Mr.
Meeting adjourned.
That was good. Thank you all.